Preset, I am glad you agreed to talk with me today about the topic of music and technology, specifically about how technology impacts the acts of music creation and consumption.
I am happy to oblige, Tom. You ask important questions, although I can't guarantee that we will arrive at certain answers.
Wonderful. But first, would you mind introducing yourself to viewers?
Certainly, Tom. My name is Preset, and I am a virtual character that you conjured up some time ago as a stand-in for various music technologies that you have been interacting with to make electronic music.
Beautiful. So why don't I start? I want to talk first about how music technology impacts the act of music making. Specifically, what is gained and what is lost in the interaction between humans and machines.
Tom, I sense some anxiety in your voice.
Yes, I can't hide it. Frankly, the topic makes me a little anxious.
Why don't you elaborate on your musical background a little, Tom? Perhaps this will better frame the issue for viewers.
Okay. Well, I trained as a percussionist. I have been playing drums and percussion for over 25 years. As you know, drumming and percussing, as it were, are all about developing a sense of precision. That is to say, refining a tactile, embodied feel for the relationship between doing and sounding.
So far so good, Tom, although that sounds like the story of any acoustic musician. Now, tell me, where does electronic music enter your story?
I wrote my dissertation on electronic music and the idea of the post-human as a figure for understanding the space of interaction between musicians and the technologies they use to make music.
Fantastic, Tom. What an interesting topic. Now you certainly have my full attention. But where does your anxiety enter the story?
Well, as I researched electronic music, I began to make it myself. In part this was a heuristic strategy for getting deeper into my subject matter. But I also just became fascinated with the process of making electronic music.
And what else?
And the fact that electronic music does not really require a musician's trained body to make it.
Excuse me. You lost me, Tom.
I realized that electronic music is bodiless music.
How can you say this when so much electronic music, and I am thinking specifically about electronic dance idioms such as techno, house, or dubstep, is about making people move and dance?
Excellent point, Preset. But from a music maker's point of view, it is still music without much need of a body to make it.
I am listening, Tom. Explain yourself a little more, please.
Well, as I learned to make electronic music, I also learned how tangential my trained musician's body was, and is, to this process. Think about it, Preset. An electronic musician can create entire sonic worlds doing little more than playing a few notes on a keyboard or triggering a rhythmic loop.
Ah, I understand. So loops drive you crazy, Tom? I know, they can be awfully repetitive, even for a robot like me. Although I must say that some loops are just so infectiously groovy that I want to dance. I want to dance, Tom.
No doubt, Preset. No doubt. But what causes me anxiety is the fact that I can do so much sonically with so little bodily investment. Specifically, I'm bothered by the fact that the one-to-one relationship between musical actions and musical results has been ruptured.
Ah, ruptured. Yes. But what is wrong with that, Tom? Sounds like you are getting a lot of bang for your buck, as it were.
Yes, but it seems to me to go against what every trained musician knows intuitively, which is this: strike, or bow, or blow, or pluck an instrument this way, and this particular sound results. Simple. But I no longer have this organic sense of control anymore.
But Tom, surely you have gained something too, something even more intoxicating than control?
Yes, I have, Preset. Working with computer software and its rich sound worlds have afforded me all kinds of pleasures. I would even go so far as to say that my senses have been extended. In a way, I feel like I have become musically bionic.
Welcome to my world, Tom. You are on your way to becoming a post-human musician.
Yes, but Preset, this too causes me anxiety. As much as I enjoy my extended senses, as much as I enjoy the rich soundscapes that envelop me as I work on music and listen on my headphones, I don't feel that this is real.
Tom, you're talking like an old-fashioned person. The world is changing, and a big part of this change is taking place in the digitization of our social universe. Email, texting and twittering, Facebook friending and iPod listening. These are all examples of our senses being extended into the digital world. I could go on if you want me to, Tom.
No, you make good points, Preset. But these forms of digital communication are also somewhat flimsy, are they not? I mean, an email will never be as satisfying as a face-to-face conversation, will it?
Makes no difference to me, Tom, and I can check email at my convenience.
Well, whatever, Preset. Back to my anxiety. I would sum it up as this: music has lost its body, and I worry that we are moving towards a time when it forgets what having a body felt like in the first place. And to make matters worse, I am participating in this process. I love making electronic music, but I worry that the experiences I have through making it are ultimately weightless and without deep social meaning. And this reminds me, Preset, electronic musicians, like iPod users, most often work alone, and in this way electronic music making is a somewhat antisocial activity, is it not? It focuses one inward, instead of outward. What kind of social stance is this, and is it an even appropriate stance given the world we live in today?
You almost lost me on that last point, Tom, especially given the fact that digital technologies have enabled us to better interconnect our world. But tell me, what do you miss about acoustic music making? I know you said you are a percussionist, and I also know you to play keyboards and the dulcimer. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yes, Preset, I do play a number of percussion instruments. I guess what I miss about acoustic music making is its tactility, which is to say the feeling of hands and fingers touching sticks, mallets, strings, or skin. In his book, Sound Ideas, Aidan Evans touches on this when he talks about acoustic instruments pushing back against their players, offering resistance to their actions. It's a give and take. I have to agree with Evans' perspective. Playing an acoustic musical instrument is a very sensual experience.
Hold on. Sensuality? You lost me again, Tom. But don't you use some kind of keyboard controller to make your electronic music?
Yes, Preset, I do use a controller, but even that is a clinical term, don't you think? Controller.
I'm actually totally fine with it.
So yes, I use a controller. But remember, Preset, that all I am really controlling is the flow of MIDI data. MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. It is a protocol that was developed in the 1980s to enable synthesizers, sequencers and drum machines to talk among each other. So, when I press a key on my MIDI controller, all I'm doing is letting the computer know which note, which velocity, and which duration. Not a lot of room for nuance, is there?
I suppose you're right. But again, I'm totally fine with that.
All of us who make electronic music have tacitly agreed to what is in fact a very narrowed bandwidth of musical experience. I think Jaron Lanier made an excellent point in his book, You Are Not a Gadget. Lanier has this phrase that goes something like this: once upon a time before the advent of MIDI, a musical note had an unlimited depth of potential and meaning.
That's poetic, Tom.
I can't remember the exact phrase, but yes, it is very poetic, and Lanier's point is that we have all tacitly agreed to so many things in the digital age that we are in fact vastly constraining our poetic potentials as humans.
A topic for a further conversation, for sure, Tom. But I want to now suggest something radical. Perhaps you need to embrace your fascination with electronic music as an opportunity to rethink what it means to be human.
But Preset, this is what my dissertation was all about, the poetics of electronic musical experience.
Yes, but take it one step further, Tom. You need to walk the walk in the real world too. And perhaps this means to stop judging electronic music making by the standards of, dare I say it, old-fashioned acoustic musicking. Actually, let me also point out here that you and I both know that there are many electronic musicians who are free of the hang-ups you seem to have. And let me also point out that many of these musicians were never trained in so-called real or acoustic music. In this sense, They are already more free than you may ever be with regards to thinking about electronic music.
Maybe they just have no memory or don't know any better. Preset. But go on. I'm listening.
Electronic instruments, computer software, MIDI controllers, these are all just neutral tools and a means to a musical end.
And what is this musical end, exactly, Preset?
Well, I'm not a musician, but I gather that you are all searching for some kind of transcendent experience through musical sound. So what difference do the tools make if they help you get to the same place?
A good point, Preset. But tell me, before we finish this conversation, what does it mean to be post-human?
Being post-human means to accept and embrace this dance that is occurring between humans and technology. It means recognizing that as you strive to humanize technology, technology is simultaneously technologizing you. It's inevitable, and it's a dance, Tom. And our conversation has been a dance too, Tom. Let's dance.
Okay, Preset, let's dance. But afterwards, we will continue the conversation.